What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Pennsylvania Avenue, the College Avenue channel where we cover history / politics, and you get our not expert opinions, but a good discussion on things that goes on in the world between two regular guys. I'm Richard Verdillo.
I'm Jacob Bullard.
In this episode of Pennsylvania Avenue, we got a bunch of topics. Actually, we just got history. Actually, never mind. We only have two actual topics in the history.
This week in history.
Yes, we have this week in history. But before you do that, go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like the video. And if you are listening on audio, go ahead and do the same thing over there. And know that we do a video version and then also an audio version for you guys out there. So if you didn't know that, just go to the College Avenue channel or go to College Avenue on the search for the other ones, I guess, for the audio version. But anyways, continuing on with the podcast or show, we have our first segment, which will be This Week in History, which we do. We're going to do this like every time, I think.
Yeah.
Unless there's like a really cool thing in history that we don't
we want to focus on.
Yeah. But so we're going to do June 17th through June 23rd. We're recording this on June 18th. So this is yesterday, starting from yesterday. So we start on Sundays to go through Saturday.
Yeah.
So June 17th, 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York Harbor, which came from France as a gift. How nice of them.
Yeah. Vive la France.
Vive la France. And then 1775, we had the Battle of Bunker Hill begins. Because, you know, the whites of their eyes.
That quote was not from that battle, but that was a good try.
Wasn't it?
No, that was either Lexington or Concord.
I'm pretty sure it was Bunker Hill.
I will bet you.
I'm not betting.
I will bet you the dinner we are about to have.
No, I'm not going to bet anything. I just look it up.
No,
double check it. I feel like Bunker Hill was the one. Like
I'm gonna get to put 5 marks down when I'm correct on that one.
I don't know, dude. Yeah. I feel like I'm right on that.
I don't think so.
Okay, whatever. Anyways, 1994, O.J. Simpson leads an L.A. police on a low-speed chase, which was led up to the O.J. Simpson trials. 1972, Watergate burglars were arrested. What?
Sorry, I was just laughing. No, just laughing like the whole scenario surrounding Watergate and like what was going on there and like this whole like this botched plan.
It's a trap.
Basically, yeah.
An interesting one since we're Californians. 1579. I forgot the actual full name of this guy, but Drake claims California for England, and this was for Elizabeth I. So he sailed all the way to San Francisco, called it Nova Albion, I think.
Okay.
And it was around the San Francisco area. Which is interesting, but it never. I don't think it ever
clearly didn't go too well.
Yeah, it didn't go too well. Yeah, that was because of Spain. So today, which is June 18th, and then on June 18th, the War of 1812 begins. I remember having like a thing with someone. I was like, "When was the War of 1812?" I'm like, she was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Really?
How could this happen to me?"
I don't know. 1815, Napoleon's defeated at Waterloo, which is really surprising. But a couple books I've read on Napoleon, they've not really covered Waterloo like extensively. They just talk about like, oh, he lost, and then they moved on. Same at Corsica, basically. 1983, the first woman in space for Americans, Dr. Sally Ride. Which was actually 20 years after the Russians or Soviets did it, which was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I listened to a podcast on the space race, and that's where I first heard it before I read it. June 19th, Rosenberg executed, or 1953, Rosenberg executed. I forgot the two names, but there was a couple that smuggled out the nuclear testing plans for like a nuclear bomb, basically, and then they were executed for the Soviet Unions. It kind of spawned like I think it kind of spawned all those like TV shows where like they had like
the American
cells in here in America that were Russian. 1856, the first Republican National Convention ended. So, are you a registered Republican?
I am a registered Republican.
I am too. So I guess that's history for us.
Yeah.
1867. Emperor of Mexico, was executed. Who was he was actually an Austrian Archduke Ferdinand Maximilian, who was
he's a long way from home.
He was appointed by Napoleon III. So that happened, and then he eventually was executed after I think Juarez took over, and then basically had the Mexican independence, and then obviously Cinco de Mayo was the day they declared independence, and then it led to that day where he was executed. Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
Unfortunately for him.
Yeah,
because he died.
June 20th, 1975. I thought that said Jews release. I'm sorry. I'm looking at a different stream. That looks like, I don't know. Sorry. I was like 1975. I was like, what? That didn't make any sense. But Jaws was released. Very iconic film.
Yes.
And then 1953, United States.
63.
Oh, 63?
Yeah.
Sorry. The United States and Soviet Union established the hotline because it was getting crazy at that time, right? Let's just say we almost won. Bye-bye.
Could only mean one thing, that a nuke was coming.
June 21st, 1788, the U.S. Constitution was ratified. You get some dabs on that, I guess. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not 12. 1813, French were defeated in Spain.
Get good.
This is where I think initially Napoleon was a part of that conflict, but I think because of all the coalition going on, he sent his brother and then another commander he had. I forgot their names, and then they eventually lost. 1964, civil rights workers disappeared. That was the civil rights workers that were killed in Alabama, Alabama, Mississippi, and their bodies were burned and stuff, which was unfortunate for them. But the two New Yorkers, and then I forgot where the other guy was from. I think he was from the area or something like that. 1982, Hickley. Okay. Hinckley. Not guilty by reason of insanity. That was the guy that shot Reagan.
Oh, okay.
I think that was the year before. I think 82 or I think it was a mid 82 or 81, and then he got convicted of that in 82.
Okay.
June 22nd, 1944, FDR signs the GI Bill, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
And 1945, Battle of Okinawa ends, which was a very, very draining battle.
As basically all the battles were for the islands.
Yeah, for the Pacific.
Just because the Japanese did not surrender. There's all sorts of, if you look at the statistics from those battles, it's pretty interesting and kind of sad too, because the U.S. will win high casualties on both sides, but you'll see that there's 100 Japanese that survived, or 100 prisoners, and the rest of them died.
There's definitely some cases where it was down to single digits.
Yeah.
And I think even in there was some islands that were attached to the Philippines where guys were still there long after the war.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, I've never actually.
They had the guys. They found out the guy's family and then had to bring his family, telling them hey yo,
no,
the war's over. So he was stuck there for years, which is insane how he was able to survive. But yeah, that was crazy.
Huh.
Yeah. 2001, the blockbuster hit movie Fast and Furious was released. I think
cancer began spreading.
It was one of the big those weird franchises that kind of started and spawned and made all this money. So, and you got a bunch of not iconic actors, but somewhat iconic actors.
Kind of, I would say at this point.
Yeah, Vin Diesel, Paul Walker, so Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
I forgot the Paul Walkers.
Now they got The Rock in there.
Yeah, they got The Rock. Jason Statham. Yeah.
Now it's a real party.
And then finally, 1937. I think it was Joe Louis. That's his first name, right?
Yeah.
Becomes champion. I think he was probably the first African American. I think that's what it said.
I think it was first heavyweight.
Yeah.
African American.
Yeah, in his division.
Yeah.
Which is big. And then there was something really interesting for June 23rd that I found. That was
what a boring day.
Yeah, it was a pretty boring day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was history, guys. Let us know what things we missed this week. If there's anything cool. If you have any cool things to add to what we said, go ahead and hit us up in those comments down below, or hit us up on Twitter, which has already popped up. But yeah, let's move on to our kind of bigger topic, and that is, did I spell DACA right? I don't think I spelled DACA right. I think I spelled DECA. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, so like what's going on in the news today, I think big headlines, definitely on AP, which I'm not an avid reader, but that's like kind of like my neutral news source that I usually go to. But it's basically just the whole situation on like the policy that's going on and how everyone wants to change, and how, I mean, I'm not gonna get into it and saying like, oh, how like the left, this news is how just totally, misleading a lot of what's going on. And we listened to earlier, before that we started recording, to Ben Shapiro just literally lay out what was actually going on, and how the process of different scenarios of what goes really on, and then why the reason why the law is in place, because it prevents like some kind of like gang or criminal that uses kids to get across the border as well. So I understand that part. What I want to know is like what your like thoughts are on like the whole situation.
I think that one thing that I learned recently, like just when we were listening to that, is that so a lot of what you hear is that like the people that are being detained like this, like they're not illegal immigrants, they're like claiming asylum, which is different, and like obviously claiming asylum is not against the law. What I learned recently that was really interesting is that like there are actually specific places that you have to go to claim asylum. You can't just walk up anywhere to the border. So like that definitely throws a wrench in like what those people are saying, because like they are technically, if you just like walk up anywhere on the border, like you are violating the law. Like you are by definition an illegal immigrant at that point. I think it's always it's not what you want to see, like all the pictures of like the cages, if you want to call it, which I mean by definition they are.
Yeah.
And then like families being separated like that, especially when it's like not the children's fault that like they're there. But I think that, I don't know like how far you want to get into like the policy or whatnot, but I think the policy that exists has existed for a long time, and it is for the benefit of the children. I think it may not, it doesn't appear that way, I guess, the way that it's being portrayed.
Yeah, there's going to be some cases where, an innocent parent and with an innocent kid, you know what I mean, that gets separated.
Right.
But like that's just the process of what happened, and they weren't doing the right process of claiming asylum in the right way, like you're saying. They weren't. There's different places, like I think it's,
you have to go to like a port of entry is like the technical phrase, and basically that means like any like actual border. So like the border in San Diego and like other places along like Arizona and New Mexico and Texas and all that. There's like anywhere that where like it is an established like border, not just like crossing the river or like crossing the fence somewhere or whatever. So that was interesting.
Yeah, there's there's like, the unfortunate thing is like both sides are like throwing out like just weird stories. Just like I think there was a mother that was like worried about how like never seeing her kid ever again when they got separated. But like I think in the policy, like you're not separated from your kid from no more than 20 days, depending on the situation.
No, the 20 days thing is they can't keep them together, detain families together for more than 20 days. They have to. The whole point of I believe it's called the Flores settlement.
So how many days are they allowed to?
They can only hold the children for 20 days.
Okay.
So then the children have to be released.
Yeah. So like
to like either. So like then there's a whole kind of like hierarchy of like who they try to release the kids to. So they like first try to find another parent or like the parents of the kids if they're living in the country already. And then it's like family, and then like legal guardian or like someone that the parents say can take the kids. And then after that it starts turning into like basically they end up in the system. So like the Department of Health and Human Services gets the children if they can't find any relatives. And so like that's when they end up like what you're seeing on the news a lot is like just so like they basically end up like waiting for foster care.
Yeah, they're basically being processed and like
right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I mean, maybe the method of holding them should be better, or that's just the way it just displayed. Obviously, maybe not keeping them in the cage, maybe keeping them more of it in this looks more civilized in a way. And also, I don't know. There's those stories on the right too, of like the guys crossing the border. I think in San Antonio, where they had like a big old speed chase, or it was like an unnecessary speed chase, where I think they had 14 people in the car and like basically crashed or not got out of control at a high speed, and I think most of the people, more than half the people in that car perished. Unfortunately,
I think it was 6 or something like that. Yeah.
Was it
I
6?
remember.
I know.
It was like I think it was
7.
like half maybe or something.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, stuff like that. It's just like it's unfortunate. Like this is like, well, not that what we're coming to. It's just like I think it's both sides not budging, but also just one side just like this is the law. This is what we're just doing. What's been in writing since I think Bush.
The Flores settlement thing happened in the 90s under Clinton, but like the specific, there was a law that was like one of Bush's last acts as president, and then like it was enacted when Obama first took office. Was like basically what you're seeing now. So basically it's been going on now has been going on since like I think 2014, like the end of the was it 2014? The date sounds wrong there.
I think the latest, like because like they were talking about people. Well, because like Ben was talking about how they had people. He knew a guy, or he had a guy that was working with him at his old news organization, where they had evidence of this happening in 2014 under the Obama administration. Yeah. So it's been happening for a while, and it's nothing. It's not saying like, oh, this is like it's happening, so like just let it happen. But it's just like it's been a thing since Obama. So it's like it's surfacing a lot since. Obviously, Trump.
The only thing that has changed is that Trump is just more strictly enforcing the law.
Yeah.
So like he's like literally defining everyone that crosses the border, whether or not they claimed asylum as an illegal immigrant, and like unless they go and claim asylum at a port of entry, which like a lot of these people aren't doing.
Yeah, so they're not specifically doing what's supposed to be done.
Right. So it's because they're being classified as illegal immigrants that they're being arrested, and then once they're arrested, then they have to separate the children.
Yeah.
Because they cannot legally hold the children for as long as it will take for like the immigration hearing to come up, or for the adults to like their case to be seen and processed.
And then it's an unfortunate thing where like the other side probably doesn't even know. That's what they're supposed to do. They just cross. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's unfortunate. It sucks.
And it's something that can be solved. Like if Congress wants something different to happen at the border, like all they have to do is pass a law.
Yeah, just fix it in a way. But like this problem, like what if they're going to fix it? Because like they have like the midterm elections coming up, so it's like I think that's an issue. Because I think in that AP article they were talking about how a lot of or not a lot of, but there's some Republicans that just don't want to have this in the news or in sight. Just because like you have like the midterm elections coming up, so it's kind of like causing tension in the polls.
I'd be curious to see what the polls are. I would be surprised if it wasn't in favor of like some sort of new law to stop this from happening. Just for like optics reasons. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It kind of hits for me personally a little bit of a gray area because I don't want to promote that sort of immigration. And I think that in some ways what is being done is a deterrent from that. And so it's like kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Something that like you don't want to see, but I almost feel like in some ways it's a necessary evil to obviously a minor extent. Like you don't want to see anything like bad happening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think like the imagery that's going on. I think there's an ex-journal or colonel or general from the Obama administration that like was comparing that to like them separating kids in like Jewish concentration camps. Mm-hmm. I was just like,
yeah, I know.
That's just like that's unnecessary.
If you go on social media anywhere, it'll be like, oh, like this is how Nazi Germany started.
Yeah, and that's like, where like
no.
That's what again like where we are saying it's just like there's like people not understanding what's going on.
Yeah.
And like understanding each other's why the right's enforcing this or why Trump's enforcing this, and then why the left is like continually like not saying what's right in a way correctly. You know what I mean? Not what I mean. I think they have good hearts and good intentions, but for the result to having these kids not separated, but this is the way they're doing it. Like it's obviously aggressive and it's really nasty. And I think that's why like you might see what's going on with the midterm elections again.
Yeah, we'll find out really, I guess, kind of how the public feels about this, like come November.
Yeah. See
like who gets voted in and out of office, and like if maybe one of the houses changes hands, and it's like if the Democrats get the House or the Senate back, we'll see what happens. So.
Which will be weird. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on, we got our last little. It's a discussion topic. So me explaining what's going to go on. It's not that I think my discussion is really on what the last person or the discussion I had in between with the person that had the discussion on Twitter, the way he went about it, not what was going on with the actual subjects in a way, or the reason why we started this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Chloe Dykstra, an actress / YouTuber / gamer, came out on Medium about her and her past relationship with her ex-boyfriend, which is Chris Hardwick. Well, I mean, she didn't specifically.
She didn't give any names.
Yeah, but the one giveaway was like the age difference.
Mm-hmm. And the thing about like he was like a podcaster turned like CEO.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And her just experience through that relationship and how horrible it was and how she was treated, and then saying having references and stuff, having like people that she's had and had been there for these kind of instances and stuff, and then Chris, I think it was like 17 hours later, responded on an art with another news site called Deadline, and saying basically, not saying everything was true, but there was some weird like I forgot what he said exactly. Like he basically said that like yes, we had tough times and whatnot, but he's accusing all the accusations like what's the word I want to use.
He denied that there was like a sexual assault.
Yeah, there was no sexual assault. And I think what goes to the next part of the conversation is like the retweet of what we're going to talk about is okay. So before we even talk about the retweet, is we're not trying to do this for like clickbait or like trying to promote our channel to be have more viewers or not, something like that. It's just like how what's going to go on, like not bring awareness, but more than bring awareness, start a conversation and be willing to hear the other side before we come to a conclusion, regardless if you know the person or you have an actual relationship with the person and you feel like you know the person. So I retweeted, or I saw a tweet from Jimmy Wong, who's another actor / YouTuber. I followed him. Like I'm somewhat of a Jimmy Wong fan, but I've not seen like recent work, but I've followed him through VHS, which is Video Game High School. I don't know if no one knows that. But he retweeted like a picture of like 4 different tweets from 4 different like, I don't know what you would want to call them, just people on the internet.
Like
one
generic people.
Yeah, one of them was Jordan Peterson, and a lot of them was saying just like, not negative, but like just saying like, this is another woman complaining about something or being another victim. Jordan Peterson said, I won't quote it directly, but he basically said like, are we gonna really hold this guy accountable without any evidence yet? And that's what I felt like. I mean, well, first off, the reason why I tweeted back at him was saying that unfortunately, yeah, it sucks for that these people would tweet this out, right? It sucks. But also saying like, this is their First Amendment right. I accidentally tweeted Second Amendment. I don't know why I was doing that. I was eating, so I guess. But I sent that back that I had a typo or I missed.
But you meant the First Amendment.
Yeah, I meant the First Amendment. And saying like, it sucks, but I think it'd be better instead of retweeting this to, go to the source, go talk to these guys. Why are they tweeting this out? What kind of conversation can you have to change the narrative in a way, but also bring more awareness? Because I think just retweeting that isn't going to do anything. I know you want to bring awareness. You want to, not have to do the dirty work, I guess. And I'm not saying dirty work as in like, make the other side look bad. I'm just saying do the dirty work and just having a conversation, having to listen to someone else's side. And then he retweeted back at me, I obviously messed up on the Second Amendment thing, and he said like you might want to get your amendments right, but it's also like I'm trying to bring awareness to the situation. I understand that, yeah, I agree with you. But I'm saying that's the way you're going about it. Go to Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is a pretty reasonable guy. Like, I don't.
Contrary to what you might hear from multiple.
I don't. From what I've heard, like he's really intelligent. Sometimes when I will listen to anything he's on the podcast with, I have to listen to it twice. Yeah. You're reading 12 Steps.
Yeah.
And I don't think like he would be someone that you would like want to just be nasty with in a way. And it's not like I'm saying Jimmy's being nasty with them at all or like misrepresenting them, like totally. But I think, my discussion part or what I want to talk about is like, not am I doing something wrong, but, me saying like you should have a deeper conversation with the person. Like, should we be doing that before we start retweeting and start just saying stuff and not just reacting and not reacting with an actual action? So like, what I'm saying is like, what do you think then?
Well, I think I see where you're coming from. I think that I guess what I kind of feel like you're looking for is like the smoking gun. Like you wanted her. She talked about like having evidence of like what happened, and like you want to see so basically, despite her entire article, it is still like a he said she said, and I think more of like where Jordan Peterson is coming from in his response is that like everyone, and perhaps like if you sided, especially recently, if you sided with the woman, you would be right probably 90% of the time. Like, and it would turn out that like she was in the right. But the risk that you run is basically all of these people are like being tried and convicted in the court of public opinion immediately without any evidence being presented, which is what Jordan Peterson was getting at, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so, like, I would have liked to have seen maybe as well, like you've come this far, like, you're in putting it, she was talking about, and rightly so, like, how she was afraid for her career and, like, her social life or whatever, like, coming out with this. But, like, once you get to that point and, like, she puts that article out, like, there is no further harm that can be done by giving just, like, a little evidence to support what you're saying. I'm not saying that like she's lying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that like make it definitive. Like if you really want stuff like this to end, you have to be able to show, like you need to just show like burn the guy down, burn him at the stake.
Yeah,
with
like,
your evidence.
Like I was talking about like the doctor, he was in the room. Let's hear him. Let's hear her mother. Unless for some personal reason she doesn't want to. The hairdresser, like I was saying.
Yeah.
If there's any other like people that were involved that she was personally messaging about this, I want to hear it from them as well. But I also want to hear like personally what Chris Hardwick and then the people around him. Is there anyone around him that can not defend him, but show that in the scenario where I'm not saying she's lying or like that, but if there's a scenario where he's innocent. And like, cause he's already got pulled off of, he's suspended off Talking Dead, which is like his biggest like success. He's
right. Yeah.
And then he got pulled off of Nerdist's like history stuff.
But I think Nerdist came out and said that like he's already like not been associated with them for a couple of years.
Yeah, but they pulled him off like the archives basically.
Right. Yeah.
And then I don't know about The Wall because he hosts another show. I've not seen what they've said about that yet. But like, if that goes out like. In any scenario where this happens and the guy's not guilty, this is like you're ruining the guy's career in a way. But I'm not saying like what I'm saying is she's not lying or anything like that. We don't know yet. But I'm saying like I think like you said, it should be definitive. I think she should have maybe thought it out a little bit better.
I think that part of
this is that smidge more. But my gripe is that. I get that this is a very strong, like, it's very tough for someone to come out like this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And one thing, like you said, to be more definitive, I think one thing she should have said is, like, from what I read, I didn't see anything where she's like, I think she was very positive at the end, but like there's nothing where definitive where she said it like, if this is going on with you, like don't do what I did and get out of it or get help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think
end it there.
I think this is where maybe you and I disagree a little bit. I think I took a little bit more of that from what she said as like as a warning for like other people that might be in that situation. I really liked like one of the quotes that she had in there was that like when you're wearing I'm paraphrasing, I don't remember exactly what it said, but like when you're wearing rose tinted glasses, like red flags just look like flags.
Yeah.
And I think that, and you were saying like having other people that were involved in the relationship, like you want to hear from them and like what they say about what was going on. I think that in this particular case, that might be difficult because she spoke so much about how like he was a completely different person when they were in public, but like when they were in private, like was when she claims that like he was a monster and like abusive and like hyper controlling and all these things. Yeah. But like she definitely maybe could have been a little bit more clear. Like I said, I kind of got that message from her of like look out for these things, and like she talked a lot about how she became isolated with her friends, so it would definitely be like don't allow someone to drive that wedge between like you and like
the people,
the friends and family that you had like prior to them.
Yeah.
So like maybe she could have done a little bit better job of conveying that, but I really liked what, short of like her providing actual evidence, because I think that like I don't know if there's going to be any like criminal proceedings in this.
Yeah.
It didn't sound that way.
It's only like 3 years away, but I don't think there is.
But it sounds like if this was in a courtroom, it sounds like it would just be a he said, she said. I can't even say that. He said, she said kind of scenario, because like there is no evidence on either side besides like she says this is what happened, he said this is what happened, and like there's nothing to corroborate that. So like I would like to see that, like you said, but it seems like in this particular case it was so private
that we're not going to.
Yeah. I think in general that like I said earlier, like the more it's great that people that are like this and people that do treat women this way are being exposed for it, but it's like as like kind of like bad as it sounds to say, is like you do run the risk if you don't just like cut and dry like show your evidence and like prove that person did these things. Like if you don't do that, you run the risk of almost like crying wolf.
Yeah.
And like that's not what anyone that's watching this wants to see happen.
Yeah.
But like you can't just like people are having their careers ruined with no evidence to substantiate. I think I need to do a little bit more research, but there was a senator or like a House representative that was forced to resign because like all of these like things came out, like he had a relationship with like an underage girl, and like all this was like early on in the like Me Too movement or whatever, and like now there's a countersuit going on because like he lost his position and like lost an election basically based on this whole thing, and then later like it came out that like she was lying about it, but like he's already like lost his career.
Yeah.
And so like there's things like that probably happens 1 out of every like 100 of these things that comes out, but like but you can't have that one, like you need, and like the only thing that you need to fix that scenario is like just provide like one little bit of evidence and like be able to back up your story. You can't just like throw something like this out.
Yeah.
That's just the only risk.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like throw out to what even like Jimmy Wong is saying.
Yeah.
And he probably knows, I'm pretty sure he knows Chloe, because I'm pretty sure they're all in
yeah.
I've seen her on Kind of Funny and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's not saying we're like, oh, don't do this. We're just saying like, no, you're going in the right direction. We just like, we hope it's going into a better direction in a way. Mm-hmm. And then like I said, if Jamie, I don't know, for some reason, if you're watching this, I didn't even expect you to tweet me back, honestly. Like when I saw that retweet, I was like, you tweeting me back? What the hell? Like I never get like a retweet back from like any kind of celebrity. Yeah. I think only I had like Trisha Hirschberg retweet me back, and I was like, oh, okay. that's weird. Actually, I'm actually exist in a way, but the only reason why it spawned, like we were having a discussion because I literally was tweeting him, or we had that one thing conversation, and yeah, I mean, hopefully Jimmy, like hopefully you do something a little bit more maybe. Like I said, have a conversation with one of those guys. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah,
and hopefully everything that happens with Chloe gets better, and hopefully what she says is true. Is what I'm saying too.
Yeah. And if it is, then hopefully Chris Hardwick gets what he deserves.
Exactly. And that's all it is. That's just a discussion. We have a conclusion to this now. That's it. That's it. And that's the show, man. That's it. We finally got through a second episode of this, unfortunately.
I guess this is, yeah.
I mean, this is technically the second one, but we've already done a second one.
Oh, we lost one?
Yes, we lost one. We lost, unfortunately. Yeah. But, yeah. Let us know if you agree or disagree with us. It's okay if you disagree with us. Let us know. We want to hear what you guys are saying to us. We want to better ourselves. We want to educate ourselves a little bit more, obviously. But we want to hear if anyone disagrees with us. It's totally cool. If you're going to be a troll and like just disagree with us, that's fine too. I don't think that's terrible, that bad.
You have the right to do that.
Yeah,
we have the right to ignore you.
Yeah, we have the right to ignore you as well. But yeah, go ahead and like, share, subscribe, guys. If you didn't know, we have an audio version, and if you didn't know, we do a video version. So if you're hearing this on audio only, then go on YouTube.com. I don't know if it's /College Avenue, but it should be just type in College Avenue in the search bar, and you're good to go. And yeah, that's been Pennsylvania Avenue, guys. I've been Richard Rodeo.
I'm Jacob Bullard.
And we will see you guys next time.